Alright, good morning guys. Today is August 17th. Right now it's roughly about 7:50 a.m. in the morning. Today I'll be showing you guys how to make a custom oyster omelet. Main ingredients, obviously you're going to need oyster. The oyster that I'll be using is directly from I guess Jolly Rancher. These size are medium size Pacific oyster. So yeah, I actually bought this from one of these Asian Chinese market. Only cost me about $5 something. Originally it was fresh, but I left in the fridge for about 3 days now. So anyway, oyster. Next thing what you need, definitely eggs. Probably 3 is enough, but today I'll be using 5. Normally you need 3 or 4 for individual, one person, but you know, I'm feeling like I want 5 egg extra protein today, so 5 egg. And another thing you need is cheese. I couldn't find any shredded cheese. That's probably the best way. Have cheese that has already been shredded, but I don't really have one, so I'm using a block cheese. But I had to cut these into a size that I wanted. But overall, that's what you want. But I don't have any, so I had to cut this down. Another thing you need is scallion. I have it here on the side, but I'll be showing you guys later. So let's get started. As you see from the back, we eat a lot of eggs at home. My parents does. We tend to keep the eggshell because you could actually use it as a fertilizer. You could throw them in the backyard, you know, in the soil, and you know it's good as a fertilizer. So let's pop these eggs first. First one. 2. So these are medium-sized eggs, brown egg. As you see, the shell is brown, but you could also use a white one as well. It doesn't matter as long as eggs is eggs. Another thing is that you know, you could get a large size egg or a small size egg. Doesn't really matter to you. If you guys know the difference between brown or white eggs, leave your comments below and let me know. Keep me updated. You know, I would love to know what's the difference between these 2 different types of colors. But anyway, so I'm gonna leave that aside. Rub my hand there a bit. So you got yourselves a egg, all 5 eggs in the big bowl. Next is the scallion. You wash this really quick. Okay. So these scallion come in different size. Obviously, you got the long one, and you got the skinny, funky looking one. The reason why it's not evenly sized because I didn't really buy this from the supermarket or anything like that or Safeway. I actually got these from around the house. My parents actually plant these. I got some of these from the backyard. Got some of these from the front yard. So yeah, I don't use a cutting board to cut these. I just grab a scissors. That's the trick. That's the lazy way to do it. You just cut it into a small size piece. Some people say that the scallion kind of look like Chinese onion. It does kind of look like it, but Chinese onion tends to be a lot bigger. Scallion tends to be skinnier. So yeah. The thing about omelet is that you could put any ingredient you want in it. You could put like a mushroom if you want. You could put salmon, anything you like. Vegetable, different type of vegetable, onion. So right now, I don't really have a lot of stuff in my fridge right now, but I know I have these scallion laying around the house everywhere. My parents are growing it, so I'm just going to cut these into size. Oops, I got these large one. Yeah, so after you're done, just wipe it off. Good to go. I had to wash this ahead of time. So you got the scallion inside. And then next thing, shake it up. So grab a fork and then just beat it. Beat all the eggs. So I don't know if you guys can see it. Just beating all these eggs to mix them up with the scallion. So just And you don't want any solid egg yolk in it. You want to beat it, mix. I don't know how well you guys could see this, but yeah. So that's it. You don't really need a blender or anything like that. Just a fork. You know, oftentimes Asian people use a chopstick, which is fine too. I use chopstick too, but sometimes I notice that the fork is a lot easier because you got like a full, you know, opening right there. Next thing what you want is a little bit of salt. Yep. You might kind of wonder how much salt to put in it. I can't really tell you how much salt because if you cook long enough, you kind of know your taste buds and you kind of know how much amount. So it's all about going by the feel. And I kind of add a little bit extra salt because I'll be putting oyster. Oyster itself smell different. It's very natural smell to it. So you probably need a little bit of salt just to blend it. So I'm going to pour all these oyster in. These are medium-sized oyster, so I could cut these into a smaller piece so that I could actually taste it. It'll be more divided up, but I'm just too lazy to cut it, so I'm not cutting it. I'm just throwing a whole piece in. There's probably 6 pieces of these. So yeah, that's it. So we got oyster going on. Everything's ready to go. The only thing we're missing is the cheese. So a block of cheese, pretty big. I mean, I wish I had like cheese that already been cut or shredded, but I don't. So I just gotta cut these into a thin piece, and then later I'll show you what you could do with it. But for now, I guess I do have to take out my cutting board and cut these off. Let's grab the cutting board really quick. Put this here. Let's set this aside because right now I don't really need it. Right now what I need is the cheese. So there's not a particular way of cutting it. There is no trick to it. Well, it's already kind of soft already, I noticed. What I could do is, instead of try to open and make my hand really messy, I'm just gonna cut it directly down. And yeah, probably need to cut these up a little bit. There we go. Just gotta apply some pressure to it. I got these cheese going. This is actually not really ideal cheese because it's kind of soft. As you can see, it's sticking to my hand already. So if it's a block of cheese that is solid, that's probably a lot better. Yeah, this is definitely not ideal. I'm trying to cut it into a thin slice, but it's not working out too well, guys. But I make do with it, you know. Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. And honestly, that's a lot of cheese. A lot of cheese. But whatever. Let me throw this away. Yeah, that's a lot of cheese. But let's put this here. Let's close it up for now. You usually need to wrap the end. When you chop it open, you want to wrap it because if you leave it open, it'll dry up really quick. And when you put it back in the fridge, it'll definitely dry up. So you want to use a saran wrap to close the end of it. But right now, I'm just going to close it for now. I'll deal with that later. So I got my cheese ready. You know, if you have a chance, chop it into a small dice. I don't want you guys to watch all these. Whatever. I think that's good enough. That's a lot of cheese. Good for now. Alright, let's turn it over. Let's spin. Let me see if this works. Let me pause it. Okay guys, so I got here a pot on the stove. I turned the fire on to the max right now. You usually don't want to cook it in max heat, but at the beginning I wanted to heat up the pot, so I turn it on to the max heat and let the water evaporate because it still has some water in it. I got here a butter, a huge piece of butter. I'll be cutting a few pieces of it out. I got the eggs with the oyster ready and the scallion in it. You got yourselves a cheese right there ready to go. So meantime, I'm just waiting for this thing to heat up, and you can see some water. It'll evaporate by itself. Instead of wiping it, I'm just gonna use it. And then you need a spatula right there, so I got that going. Okay, while this thing is heating up, let's get started. So let me arrange it. Got some knife right here. Let's grab a piece of butter out. Just drop it. That's it. And then while the butter is inside being melted, we turn down the fire a little bit to half. So I turn the fire down. And I also like to throw some olive oil in a little bit just to mix it. So I'm going to help mix it a little bit, moving it around. I didn't want the eggs to stick to the bottom of the pan, so that's why I add some olive oil. And at the same time, for the taste as well, I do have a lot of eggs in here, that's why. So let me turn the fire on a little bit. In the meantime, let's just drop this in. It's hot, good. Get all this scallion in. So now we basically wait. Kind of turn the fire on a little bit so that it'll actually cook a little bit faster. And then we just wait. Meantime, while we wait, it's always good to clean up your mess. So clean up, fold the cheese back. Make sure you fold these butter tight enough so that the air doesn't go in. And then put it back in your fridge. Basically turning the fire down a little bit. And I also going to spread these oyster up a little bit. It's good enough. So let me quickly show you guys. Let me turn on the light right here so you can see better. So I kind of scattered the oyster a little bit, turn the fire down low. Earlier I was adjusting the fire because you didn't want the fire to be on too high. So meantime, just let it cook a little bit, and then I need my hand now to set this down. If you guys can see me like that. How's that? That's good. Kind of slow a little bit, just trying to adjust. And then I probably need this. I want you guys to see this, so maybe. Okay, now it's better. What am I doing? Okay, so the fire is on low. You want it to move a little bit. Make sure get all these extra eggs to the bottom. So it is a lot of eggs. That's what happens when you have a lot of eggs. You got extra layer. Because there's a lot of eggs flowing on top, so I'm just kind of moving it and let it slide to the bottom. So nice slide to the bottom so it'll cook evenly. Yeah. So this pot is actually not really big enough for 5 eggs, but we'll make do with it. Let me grab this. shake it around a little bit, move it. So let's see the bottom. It looks pretty good. And what you could do is drop a few of the cheese on it. Oh yeah, this is going to be a lot of protein. A lot of protein, guys. A lot of carb too at the same time. That's how I like it. I like a little bit of cheese on top. Preferably, you know, not a block cheese like this, but that's all I got. So, and then what you want to do is you want to flip it. So you want to close it halfway mark. Oops. So close it halfway like that. And then slide down. Leave it for now. It'll melt. You want the cheese to melt in with this. So that's how I do it. And like I say, for omelet, you could throw anything you want. You could put some mushroom, chopped mushroom if you want. And then let me pause this. Okay guys, so I want to update you guys what happened. So what happened was I flipped the egg over. I didn't want you guys to watch the whole process because it's going to take a while. So I actually flip it over and let the thing melt the cheese a little bit. I also turned the fire on a little bit higher so that I could cook the other side too a little bit better. And then I'm going to turn the fire down a little bit while the oyster and everything else is cooking. Just let it cook. Yeah, there's actually extra cheese over there. I'm probably not going to use these because these are too much already. So I think that's probably good enough. So let's turn it down a little bit. Oh, hello. Okay, so I turned the fire off. Next thing, I'm going to transfer it over. There we go, and then flip. That's it. That's my custom style omelet. Look a little bit messy. That's because there's a lot of cheese in it, and the cheese is sort of melted. So yeah, the cheese is a little bit melted. I think what make this omelet even better is put some ketchup on top, and you got yourselves the oyster. You know, you got oyster inside the middle. I'll give you guys a contrast, a blue background. See that? Alright. Okay guys, so I hope you guys like it. Can you see me? So, get yourselves the oyster and everything. It is a little bit liquidy because of the oyster itself has water in it and also the cheese. So the cheese is not, it's melted, and then the oyster itself is giving out a lot of water, liquid. So if you guys really want to dry, what I would recommend is probably dry the oyster, probably put a napkin around it and kind of like damp it and kind of like make sure that oyster doesn't have a lot of liquid in it. But other than that, that's it. Hope you guys like it and leave a comment.